I've been asked, how do you know? How do you know if you've had an emotional experience? How do you know if you've been truly born again versus just this emotional experience that you speak of? Well, an emotional experience, one of the ways that you know is an individual will say, he set me free. I used to be an alcoholic. I used to be, not me, I'm just giving an example. They will say, I used to watch pornography and he set me free. I haven't watched it in 6 months. They say, I haven't watched it in 6 months. He set me free. And then the minute that 7th month hit, they're watching it. And what you find is a struggle. You find a struggle. Someone who used to smoke, or they're a smoker, and they say, well, once I accepted Christ, I didn't want to smoke anymore. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, I need a puff. Just one. The desire is still there. There's a struggle because they don't want to go back on what they've done, because this was such a highly emotional experience, and there's people around and that you may or may not have to be accountable to, and you have people too who are saying, hey, you can do this. You can do this. But there's a struggle. That struggle reveals that he was never there. And you say, Mika, how can you say that? There's a scripture where it is written, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Freedom. There's no struggle if you're free. It didn't say you will struggle to be free. It says there is freedom. There's not the hope to be free. It's freedom. And then you have to get to the heart of what's going on. The reason you're drawn to that, whatever it may be, pornography, drunkenness, or there's some really sick things out there, but I won't go through them. We'll just say sin. The reason you're drawn to it is because there's a connection in you. Whatever it is, you're connecting to it. If there was no connection, you wouldn't be drawn to it. You wouldn't have the desire to do it. No one can tempt me to smoke, because there's nothing in me that desires that. I haven't made a connection to it, so you can't tempt me with that. A man is tempted by the lust within his own heart. It's a revelation of what's in you. It's a revelation of what's in your spirit. So if you are drawn to something that's wicked, that's because you have something wicked in you. And there's two things with that. The first one is, in the book of Corinthians, it states, Jesus will not dwell with devils. They will not dwell in the same vessel. Good and evil cannot dwell in the same vessel. And there's some of you who say, well, what about Paul in chapter 7 of Romans? He struggled. Those who say that reveal two things. One, they don't understand Scripture. Two, their hearts are wicked. That's the perception they're seeing to make an excuse for their sin. Now, as far as what's in that person, as far as wickedness and the struggle, the second thing, the first one was, he will not dwell, good and evil will not dwell together. The second thing is, the main mission of Christ was to free his people from their sins. Now, this goes a whole lot deeper than what I'm going to delve into at this moment, and I do have other content regarding this, but he came to set his people free from sin. How can you set them free from sin? Sin is the act of disobeying the Creator's commands, the Mosaic Law, as some know it to be. Sin is the transgression of the law. You can't break that, and you can't free someone from that until you first break the desire. You must break the desire. If the desire isn't there, you won't do it. Your desire will be after the Creator. And when you see these things, when you see in your heart, when you're doing these things and you say, oh, I can't help myself, you can help yourself. But when you're doing these things and you're making the choice to do these things, that desire is within you. You've made a connection with that. You've connected with that. And that's being revealed. So when you have someone who says, I want to know the Creator, I want to do the right thing, and then you do the wrong thing, you're being shown that that's what's in your spirit. You have to deal with that first. You have to deal with what's going on in your heart first. The pure in heart shall see the God of Israel. The pure in heart, the innocent. Those who have not connected, or those who have cut off evil, they've walked away from it, and they ceased evil. They ceased doing evil. There's more to this, but I want you to stay encouraged if you're one of the ones who is seeking to do what's right and you want to walk in the path of righteousness. Stay encouraged. I'll see you next week.